New York has always belonged to the Ninja Turtles at night. Not the bright version of the city tourists see during the day, but the real version, the wet streets glowing on the neon signs, steam rising from sewer gates like we see in the movies, alleyways filled with the rats, graffiti, and sirens. See, that's the side of the city that Turtles were basically built on. And now, well, after years of smaller projects, arcade throwbacks and stuff, and multiplayer-focused games, it finally sounds like the franchise may be preparing for something far more serious, which is a full AAA Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. Not a party game, not a side-scroller per se, but a large-scale cinematic action game reportedly inspired by the tone and structure of modern titles like God of War. Honestly, well, the more people hear about it, the more it feels like the exact direction the TMNT has needed for years. Now here's the thing, if you strip away the cartoons and nostalgia for a second, the Ninja Turtles actually have one of the darkest foundations in just the comic book history. It's four brothers raised in isolation, a violent father figure shaped by loss and revenge, endless gang wars happening beneath the city while ordinary people never really even realize it. The TMNT universe has always balanced humor with something much heavier underneath. That's why the idea of a mature, story-driven AAA game fits surprisingly well now. And according to the ongoing reports and the industry chatter right now, that's exactly the type of project currently being developed behind the scenes. That's what multiple sources actually tied to Paramount's gaming expansion and recent TMNT licensing suggest a larger budget title in the active production, with a much more cinematic approach than the previous games. Now, a lot of the speculation keeps pointing toward the last Ronin influence as well. But honestly, that makes sense like almost immediately. See, that comic changed the way many people viewed the franchise. It showed that TMNT stories could carry real emotional weight while still feeling true to characters. Darker themes in older versions of the world, brutal combat, loss, isolation, regret. In fact, the tone opened the door, and now it sounds like a game studio may finally be walking through it. See, what makes this rumored project especially exciting is the possibility that it won't simply copy, but instead borrow the strengths that made modern cinematic action games work so freaking well. Strong storytelling, focused combat, deep character relationships, maybe a world that just feels grounded even when the action. A world that structure could fit TMNT perfectly. Like imagine exploring New York from the Turtles' perspective in a way, in a more immersive way than ever before. Rooftops just stretching endlessly above rain-soaked streets, underground subway tunnels converted into gang hideouts, abandoned sewer systems leading to forgotten sections of the city nobody else sees. Instead of feeling like a comic book playground, the city could finally feel alive and dangerous. And honestly, New York itself should feel like one of the main characters. I mean, that's something past TMNT games often missed. The city shouldn't just be a backdrop for combat encounters, it should feel like a place constantly under pressure. Criminal organizations expanding into neighborhoods, Foot Clan activity spreading quietly through the streets, citizens just unaware of how chaos really is beneath them every night. That atmosphere matters because the best TMNT stories have always carried this strange feeling that the Turtles are protecting a world that doesn't even know they exist. Now, combat is where things become really interesting. If this project really leans into a more cinematic AAA structure, then combat could become far more personal and physical than previous games ever attempted. One thing God of War did brilliantly was make every hit feel heavy, every swing carried some force behind it, every fight felt emotional instead of just simply flashy. See, a TMNT game could absolutely benefit from that philosophy. We're not gonna go into specifics, but these characters Turtle feel distinct not just visually but mechanically and emotionally. That's what would elevate the experience beyond simple fan service. And Unreal Engine 5 could make those fights look incredible. Rain hitting rooftops during the battles, sparks flying from steel pipes and subway tracks, shadows moving naturally through the alleyways while enemies close in from every direction. Modern lighting and animation systems from TMNT combat the cinematic weight fans have imagined for just years. But honestly, the emotional side of the story may matter even more. Underneath all of the action, TMNT has always been about family. Personalities clashing under pressure. Splinter trying to hold them together while carrying his own trauma and guilt. That emotional tension is what could truly separate this project from superhero games. The strongest rumors suggest the game may actually focus heavily on narrative relationships and character development rather than just non-stop action this time. If true, that's a very smart direction because players already know the turtles can fight. What they want is now depth. And honestly, there's a huge opportunity here to show a version of these characters that feel older, more worn down, more human emotionally than previous games allowed. That doesn't mean losing the spirit of the games, it means evolving them. Another reason excitement around this project keeps growing is just because the gaming industry itself feels ready for something like this. Comic book games have changed massively over the last decade. Players expect stronger writings now, better performance, more grounded storytellings. Spider-Man, Batman, if handled, especially because the Turtles occupy such a unique space between superhero fiction, martial arts drama, and urban crime stories. And honestly, the darker tone might help the franchise more than you could even imagine. That's why the last Ronin resonated so deeply with folks. It reminded people that TMNT always had emotional depth, and visually possibilities are now just enormous. If they avoid making the city feel overly clean or futuristic, TMNT works best when the world feels worn down and lived in, cramped. That grounded feeling is important because it makes the emotional moment land harder. And honestly, one of the smartest things the developers could do right now is slow the pacing down, occasionally at least. Let players spend time inside the turtles on mistakes. Those quieter scenes are what made the action feel meaningful later. Right now, official details still remain limited, which is normal for a project of this scale. But between the licensing activity and the massive success of darker TMNT stories recently, it genuinely feels like something significant is happening beyond the scenes. And fans are ready for it. Not just because they love the franchise, but because they can already picture what this game could become. Where the turtles feel older and more grounded, where combat feels brutal and emotional instead of just arcade, and where the story finally treats these characters with the same seriousness modern gaming has to give heroes. Because the Ninja Turtles were never meant to stay kids forever. And this new era might finally prove it.